I'm excited to be here with Aaron. We met 20-ish years ago, something like that.
Sounds about right.
And but for people who don't know, who are you? What do you do?
So my name's Aaron Ringel. I am a custom home builder in the Charlotte, North Carolina, Lake Norman area. So specializing kind of in that higher end, not to sound snotty, I don't like to go below 3 million.
Yeah.
Right? So I do that. I run a couple other things as well. I do a national consulting program. Not so much in the custom building world, but more for like mid-level, I guess you would say. Builders, developers, can't really, speak out exactly where we're going, but trying to catch these guys that want to do really good, but they don't have that national presence and the resources. So they're kind of outsourcing to us.
Gotcha.
So we'll do 2-3 day consulting visits. When I started doing that a few years ago, somebody asked me like what I did. And the best description I ever came was, do you remember the movie The Office?
Yeah, of course.
I'm a Bob.
Bringing the bobs. Got it.
Bringing the Bobs.
We're in a position to put as many as 4 people directly underneath you. So my question is, because you came out of the track building world.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's where the consulting side comes from.
Yep.
Why not just take the $3 million homes to the next level? Why not just take the consulting? Like, why are we serving 2 masters here?
Never really thought about that. I think some of it is because they simultaneously came up. And I was leaving what I was doing, and I had this opportunity here and this opportunity here. I didn't really know where I was going to go with either one of them. And now they're both working. So I'm kind of rolling with it.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with multiple business units. I'm just curious,
So there was no decided, hey, I'm going to go launch and focus on this. And then 2 years later, I'm going to go launch and focus on this. It literally was inside of the same 6 weeks. Hey, Dina, honey, why don't I just do this? And then everything just stacked up and lined up and, worked with the right people, focused on very small things in each one of them. And it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed.
Yeah. So talking about the custom home building business, because that's a lot of our listeners are custom home builders. What's been the biggest growing pains for you? Because the folks that come to me, they typically have 3 problems. They have no time. Mm-hmm. They don't understand it yet, but they have poor money management. They don't know where every dollar is going. They just, hey, I beat last year's numbers, and they have no idea how or why they were profitable.
I made 120% of last year, but I spent 180%.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And they don't have systems. They typically came out of either remodels or additions or, heck, the guy that used to build my decks crushes it in Charlotte now. He's doing $2 and $3 million houses as well. So, and they build this machine that just kind of starts to run away from them. Mm-hmm. If they half care, can spell their name and smell reasonable, it's not that hard to overshadow You're setting the bar really high for custom luxury builders.
Yeah. Rodric, come on. You got to make it sound a little bit better than that.
So what has been your challenge? I say, not even challenge, the bottleneck in the business.
Time is definitely going to be up there more than anything. For me, the money part of it that you were talking about, that's part of my partnership that I've got. So I brought in a couple of people, one as a business partner, right? And he kind of does the money stuff. And so the relationship is honestly great. So whenever we have a staff meeting, which is just the 2 of us hanging out in a room like this, right? He's there holding me accountable for my estimating. He's there holding me accountable for my billing, my expenditures, my variances. And then he's also challenging me weekly, to be honest. It's kind of frustrating, but God love you, Nate. To be a little more creative and to go outside the box and find things. Right before we started, I talked about, hey, I got 50 loads of dirt delivering for $50 each. Well, it's because they're building a gas station 3/4 of a mile from a job site, and they just dug the tanks, right? So it's opportunity.
Yeah.
It's things like that. But I think the bottleneck for me, if I really sit and think about it, because in my head I think I know what I was gonna say, the bottleneck for me is gonna be homeowner communication, managing that communication, the relationship. 15 years ago, I think you shared with me the homeowner emotional roller coaster.
It's still it's the best lead magnet we have. 50 people a day download.
I literally give that to every single person before a contract.
Oh my gosh, I love
that.
that.
I start at the beginning. Like, hey, we're looking at building a house. Okay, here's your process. Well, that's not how you build a house. Yeah, that's what you're going to do. I'm going to go build the house.
Yeah,
you're going to go through this other part. So the bottleneck for me is when the homeowners have all these crazy emotions. They're spending a significant amount of money, right? And either it's every penny that they have to spend on this project, or they don't know what they want because they have so many options because they can just afford whatever they want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So getting that decision making and the homeowner communication kind of down pat. We had can I share an example on it?
Absolutely.
So we just installed a Sierra Pacific inverted corner pocketing door, right? So gorgeous door. Door itself really wasn't
$2,000 a foot.
660. No, it's more than that. Definitely more than that at 10-foot panels. We put it in. The door is exactly what the architect drew. Exactly. It's installed perfectly. The homeowners walked in and go, I hate it. And now we're ripping it out and we're putting in something different. And that's a 16-week lead time door. And we're supposed to be completing the home in like 12, right? So that kind of bottleneck in decision making is something that if we installed the door that they signed off on, that was on the renderings from the architect, that's one of those that I still haven't figured out how to avoid.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Right?
I mean,
so that's definitely the bottleneck.
I mean, customer communications, we had Ron Nussbaum on, and then I was on his show, and he developed an app. He's a builder. He's out at the coast, and developed builder comms.
Yep.
And that was why. And he was telling the story about how he's standing in the driveway. He's got 6 of his guys. He's getting his ass chewed by the customer. He's like, there's got to be a better way, And for me, it was when I had supers on site. It was, why do we send a Friday email about what happened and what's going to happen, even though it might be minor, because on Sunday night when they have time, they're going to go over there and they're going to be blowing up your phone. And it's these things that from the sales world are second nature. You handle the objection before it comes up. You show them the homeowner's emotional roller coaster so that when it's 3 weeks to close, but it looks like a bomb went off on the inside, you go, but we said it's going to look like this.
That's right.
And it cuts that emotion down by like 90%. So,
raising awareness, right? Like, I like to use the phrase proper planning prevents poor performance, right?
Sure.
My dad beat that into me when, I was like 12, except he used proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Right. So instead of the 5 Ps, it's the 6 Ps. And that expectation setting that you're referring to is great, but to be honest, sometimes it doesn't even need like a full expectation. I think it just needs awareness, right? And the only way you're going to get that is to bring it up, right? You can try to dot your I's, cross your T's. In this instance, I could have shown more pictures of that inverted pocket door to the homeowner. They still might not have known that they were going to like it or not going to like it until they saw it installed in their house.
Yeah.
Right?
I think what I see with builders is they've been burned a couple times, typically early on, and then they start to build these systems that protect them. Mm-hmm. So they have more line items in their contract. They have these gotchas because they fear having that like it's not a fun conversation to have with people that here's going to be the pitfalls throughout this thing. It's not, I wrote a blog post a long time ago called Blame HGTV and Pinterest.
I love it on the title alone.
And you can imagine what it was. It's like it's like me building hot rods. Like people have these expectations. You can get these things done in a weekend. And it's all of those little...
A weekend at a time for
14
years.
And, it's these little things. It's like the windows and doors. Okay, maybe that adds 4 weeks, but there was 5 other things along the way that added a week. Now they're 9 weeks behind, and it's your fault because X, Y, Z didn't happen. And it's just not reality.
Right. And that figuring out what actually is reality, accepting what you can influence, impact, and control, right? And then letting go of the other part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's a great, it's either Gandhi or it's one of those gurus, but he says if I can do something about the thing, there's no need to worry about it. If I can't do anything about the thing, there's no need to worry about it. So there's nothing to worry about.
I like it. I don't think I've ever heard that one, but it just kind of clicks. It makes sense.
So why I've found in my home building career that the higher end, let me rephrase. If I had it to do over, I would have stuck with kitchens and baths. Super high profit, in and out in 6 or 8 weeks. The ego gets in the way, and it's like, I'm a custom home builder. And there's something cool about that. I mean, it's undeniable. You're not necessarily more profitable. There's a lot more that can go wrong. You can lose your pants a lot faster. You're dealing with a savvier customer sometimes that knows they're not going to pay you before the job even starts. That
sounds a little malicious.
We've all experienced these things, right? And so why stick with that? What was the drive to do specifically? I would say our average person I talk to in a week is building right around $1 million, $1.2 million, $1.5 million, has 4 to 6 projects going. Right. Is like our average owner we're working with. Why $3 million? Why the super high end? Kind of what drove that decision?
Some of it really was, again, I just go back to that initial opportunity of market intrusion for me, right? And when I had the other stuff going on, if I was going down to the 1 million, 1.6, 1.8, I'd probably want to build 6 to 8 of them, right? In order to provide for my family the way I want to. I don't want to go to 6 different locations throughout the Charlotte market or pay 2 or 3 different, site supervisors, project managers, whatever you want to call them. I'd rather just have one place to go for 9 months, 10 months, overlap for a few months, right? Pay one guy that's really, really good to do site management for me. Have that as a line item in my contract and my estimating for individual site management, right? And explain, hey, there's going to be a couple weeks of overlap as we transition. And then realistically, the architects and designers that we work with love that singular focus, right? So they're selling the clients and the homeowners on that $140,000, $120,000 line item. And I don't even have to, right? So many different people put in their estimates different management fees and different this and that. At the end of the day, almost everybody comes out to within 3% of each other. It's just a different structure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So sticking with that higher end really just saves me drive time and hassle and lets me focus on one thing at a time. And the way that my ADHD brain works, having one thing at a time is a really big challenge, and I like the challenge.
Yeah, fair.
It's also some of the stuff you get to do in those high-end ones is so freaking cool, right? You can make something look cool at that like 1.6, 1.2, but when you're 2/3 of the way through a house and your client comes in and says, hey, I know that you said that we have to do change orders paid in full in 10 days, but what about this change? And it moves the entire front of the house 47 feet out. And you have to relocate the septic field and you're on a waterfront lot. And you're not going to pay for that in 10 days. But that's the fun stuff for me, right? It's like the stuff that other people, one, don't get the opportunity to do. And also going back to your ego comment, the things that maybe some other people wouldn't be able to pull off.
Sure.
Right?
I think for me, we did a lot of custom homes, but I still did a lot of really high-end remodel, like $600,000 and $700,000 remodels, and historic stuff, because I was on the Historic District Commission for 4 or 5 years, and that was the fun stuff for me. And to your point, it's not the low-hanging fruit, like especially when the modern, less ornate is selling for more than the traditional, more trim, more fixtures. So, but it fed that. It's why I did it for so long. I've had so many different businesses, and by far I was a builder for, almost 20 years. And it's because every day was something different. I didn't feel like I was just on the press, more widgets today, boss.
Stamping bumpers.
Yeah, stamping bumpers.
I had a very similar conversation with a buddy of mine who works father-son building company over in like the Lake Norman, more Denver, type of area. And the two things he's almost sold on at this point is he's only going to build specs, which I think is almost everybody's dream. For some reason, it's not mine. I think it'd be nice and it'd be convenient. But then I wouldn't have someone else's money letting me knock part of the front of the $3 million house off and adding $1.5 million, right? Because I like doing that on other people's money, not my own.
Yeah, OPM's great.
But then going back to like your renovation thing, he's sitting there saying he's at 48 to 49% margin on his renovations. And I'm like, that doesn't happen on new construction.
No.
Like, nobody could afford a house. And all day long, he's just booked out. So I get that. I really do. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to deal with problems, when I open up a wall, I damn well want it to be the problem that I created, not the problem that you created.
Yeah. Or 3 handymen from 86 years ago.
That we're blaming the guy before then because, if he would have just done it this way, it would only cost you $500, but because he screwed up, now it's like $6,000, right?
So true.
Isn't that how that goes?
So true. So if you could give one piece of advice, say to a newer builder, because we get a lot of those. I don't typically work with newer people. My guys they have an established company. They're trying to get their time back.
Right.
I'm the time guy, the time and travel guy. Travel and leisure. That's what they should be called. What advice would you give to somebody that thinks they want to do that higher end work? What did you not see coming, I guess is a good way to phrase it, working with that higher end client?
I mean, that's a super easy one for me. If there's like one thing that mentally I wanted to be able to do, and it was really apparent really fast, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. Involve yourself in a team. And if you have to buy your team, right? Partner with somebody. Maybe that takes a little bit of the margin out for you, but find somebody that's really good at something you're not at, right? My big weaknesses, paperwork, computers, right? Processes. I'm really, really good at building a house. I just don't want to put it together on paper and track everything. And my partner is great at that, right? And then site management, again, I'm not going to be able to be there every day when the plumber's there and needs to know what offset, for something is, right? Involve yourself in the team. I promise you, even if your margin goes down a little bit, your end result, your happiness level is going to be so much higher that everyone involved, your architects, your designers, your homeowners, your team, it's just going to be a synergistic thing, right? And then the next project's going to come faster and easier, and it's going to not take as much effort to land that client because everyone's selling you anyway, right?
Yeah, smart. The systems piece of that, when we build out a triangle, and I got one here I did yesterday, but it looks like that.
Yeah.
So, you'll see this on anything I put out.
It almost looks like something from Game of Thrones.
It kind of is,
right?
But it's, for us, it's getting the builder in the first 6 weeks to be able to schedule a no-phone vacation. Because that seems like an impossibility to 95% of the people listening to this, right? Yep. But it's a symptom of something bigger. That means you've built a healthy company. You've built something that might be saleable, something that's scalable. And to your point about hiring the team, I think people, they see that immediate profit hit and the margin hit that you speak of, but they don't realize then the happier customer means more referrals, means you can charge more because you're doing better. And if you want to build something, you should only be doing, I call it only CEO activities, because what we see most builders doing is they'll maybe hire out a designer, they'll hire out a site superintendent, and maybe they have a bookkeeper. And then they're picking up all the rest of the slop, is what I call it. So they find themselves, they're an admin in their custom home building business.
100%. I totally get this example.
What have I done, right? And so we do this time matrix. I'm doing it with a client in Salt Lake City this week, and I can't wait to see it next week, because it's, all right, what's this thing I'm doing? What's the dollar per hour that thing is? And then also, what's the energy level? So I add that piece in there, because sometimes there's something that's a $20 an hour task when you get paid $500 an hour to be the owner, but you love it. And you leave energized. So you have to weigh all of those things.
I've never thought about that. Not once have I ever thought about that.
It fills up a different coffer that doesn't have dead presidents in it.
Plenty of dead presidents in the home building world.
Right.
I like that, man. I never thought about that.
So that's what I'm here for. That's what people listening are here for. So, all right, I've been doing this fun thing, and you get to leave a question for the next guest, and you have no idea. Like this week, I've had a spiritual advisor on. I've had another builder. I've had a guy that does, $200,000 coaching for super high-end people. Like, you don't know who's going to be a grief coach. Right. So before I ask you the question that Parker Lazecki left for you yesterday, what question would you like to leave for the next guest?
And we get no guidance on even the category that the next guest is.
Because I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, you do.
People reschedule. Like it could be anybody.
La-di-da-da-da. So I think that the question that I wish that I thought about before, and that if someone would have asked me, and again, going back to what we talked about, raising awareness, right? What impact does the way you manage your business have on your family?
I love that.
That's the first thing that I wish someone would have talked to me about.
Yeah. And imagine a phoneless vacation, what that does for your family.
I had my first vacation with my wife in 12?
Long time ago.
Yeah. I surprised her with a trip to Punta Cana for her birthday. At 4 a.m., she was not happy about it. At noon, on the beach with a glass of champagne, she was. But having the concept, or at least, again, just that awareness, right? When I started, these two things, leaving what I was doing before, I had no idea how I was going to do it. And so I was just going to work my ass off. What impact did that have on my 17-year-old daughter going through high school? What impact did that have on our relationship? What impact did that have on my 68-year-old mom, who is a 2-year widow? Am I around? Am I not around to be with her? What impact does how you manage your business have on your family?
Awesome. I love it. So the question left for you.
Okay.
And this was kind of a whopper.
I do have goosebumps, by the way.
From Parker.
I'm a little nervous.
Was, what would you die for?
I kind of want to say like a really freaking good cheeseburger. But I think that the answer to that one is actually my question. And it's my family.
Yeah.
Right? It's what you believe or are so passionate about, right? And for me, it's either my faith or my family. And if you focus on one of those two things, inherently, well, I guess you could focus on the family without focusing on the faith, right? Lots of people do it. But if you're focusing on one, you're inherently focusing on the other. So those two things for me, I think, is going to be that, faith and family.
Awesome.
You can flip a coin and pick which one's the real answer.
Well, brother, we can leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for hosting.
Guys, if you want to get a hold of Aaron, and whether it's the consulting building, if you're in the Charlotte area, etc., everything will be in the show notes, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, man.